Hello there historians, and welcome to a video on 5 things you should never do at a reenactment, the Visitor Edition. So let's start off with number 1. Touch things, right. This might seem obvious to some of you, but you shouldn't just wander into a reenactment and start touching things. Now, quite a lot of the things that you'll find at a reenactment might be quite dangerous. Depending on what reenactment you're looking at, you might find things that are sharp, swords, knives, spears, those sorts of things. You might find live firing weapons. Now obviously those should be kept well away from the public, but if you do find a deactivated weapon or a weapon which is being used by the reenactors, you should always assume that it is loaded. You should never touch anything at the reenactment unless you ask permission. Quite a lot of the things that the reenactors have with them are expensive or specialised or possibly made specifically for them, and they won't appreciate you wandering over and starting playing about with it. Number 2. So, crossing roped off areas. Now this again is quite an obvious one, but if an area is roped off, you're not supposed to go into it. Now, for most reenactments, you tend to find that a roped off area might be around a vehicle or a certain display that they don't want people to be interacting with. This is a case of just stand here and look at it, don't go across and start messing about with it. However, it can be quite dangerous for you to cross a roped off area. Some reenactments have pyrotechnics or explosives or vehicles moving around during battle reenactments. Now, if you wander into one of these roped off areas, it's quite possible you could be injured or possibly even killed because of your own stupidity from going into an area that is quite clearly roped off. Now, if you're not sure of a place where you can or can't go, ask somebody in, period uniform or wearing one of the marshal's jackets, and they'll be able to tell you where you can and can't go. Now, obviously, if you do find yourself in a roped off area and you think you shouldn't be there, just make your way off to one side where the rest of the crowd is stood. If you are noticed out in a roped off area where you shouldn't be, usually someone will come and tell you, but this is one which really requires common sense. Number 3. Get offended. Yeah, don't get offended at a reenactment. It's amazing how many people will go to a reenactment about the Second World War or the English Civil War or Roman army or whatever, and they will ask you a question. They will say something like, "Oh, what's that?" And you say, "Oh, well, this is a bayonet or a sword or a spear or a rifle or a machine gun or a tank or a bomb or whatever." And they say, "What, you mean this was used to kill people?" Well, yes, you've wandered over to people who are clearly in military uniform or kit, and now you're worried that what you're talking to us about was once used to kill people. Well, sorry, but if you go to a reenactment, especially a military one, you've got to expect to see military equipment. Another thing you'll find is that a reenactor might be smoking, or a reenactor might be using language which you don't like. For example, the British Army sewing kit during the Second World War was referred to as the housewife, and if I say to people, this is the sewing kit, commonly known as the housewife, they get offended. Well, I'm not being sexist, I'm just saying this is what it was called. So you can't expect reenactors to not use correct language of the time, and then you get offended. I mean, fair enough for someone shouting or being racist or swearing at you, fair enough, you can get offended, but, little simple things, trying to get offended with them so much. Number 4. Right, interrupt. So, this again might be quite obvious to those of you who have manners, but don't interrupt a reenactor mid-flow of whatever they're talking about. It has happened to me before where people have stopped me whilst I'm talking about a certain piece of equipment or kit, and they want to know about something else entirely. And I just have to say, well, yeah, I'll explain that in a moment. Anyway, back to this. it really is annoying to reenact because they then lose whatever thread that they were talking about. And usually quite a lot of what you hear has been rehearsed so that they can talk about it in a nice smooth flow without stumbling over their words and forgetting pieces of information. If you interrupt them, then whatever they're talking about tends to just disappear from their mind. Also, interrupting, it doesn't just have to be you asking us a question. If you have a very loud phone conversation or just a very loud conversation with someone who stood, within 6 feet of a reenactor whilst they're talking about something, it does kind of put us off, and we do get quite annoyed. I have seen a reenactor completely lose their mind once, where they did start shouting at a person in the crowd, who did get quite upset that they'd been shouted at by a reenactor. But just imagine it was you trying to talk to someone about sort of stuff, and then someone came over and interrupted you. How would you feel about it? Number 5. Start an argument. Yes, don't start an argument with a reenactor. The most common one I've found is with the Bren machine gun. Because it has a top-mounted magazine, people tend to come over to you and say, that magazine's on the wrong side of the gun, it should be on the bottom. No, it shouldn't. The other common thing that they talked about the Bren machine is they come over and they say, is that a Browning automatic rifle? Or is that an AK-47? And these people will be adamant that they're right. That is a BAR. It is. No, it's not. Look here, it says Bren on the side there. Well, no, you're lying. Right, okay. Thing is, arguing with a reenactor who knows their stuff, it's like, mud wrestling with a pig. It's pointless, and the pig really enjoys it. Don't start an argument, you will lose. I mean, I've argued with reenactors before, and they occasionally still send me a message now and again, over Facebook or text message to tell me how wrong I was. And fair enough, I was wrong, but please don't start an argument with a reenactor. So, thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've learnt a little bit of reenacting etiquette. And if you do come to reenactment and you do any of these things, then you won't be very popular. And reenactors do tend to remember the visitors that come and see them. So please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see any more videos, or you want something featured in the video, please feel free to comment below. And I'll get around to making one as soon as I can. Thank you, and goodbye.